Hey there, everybody. Look, I'm doing this from a different location today, so we're in front of my fireplace, and no, I don't have a fire going, so it's not really a fireside chat, but it's about 75, 80 degrees here, so I don't really think I need a fire. But hey, look, today, well, yesterday I talked about I was going to start doing a series of videos, and so today is the first in that series. And what I'm going to talk about with you today is actually mindset, okay? And how your mind really does influence your actions. And everybody knows that. It's kind of basic, but there are some things that you really don't, well, let's just say there are some things that you think and believe, and your mind, finds the reasons or the excuses to make that reality. So let's say, for example, tomorrow's Monday, and you really don't want to go to work, and you're just like, oh, I just don't want to do this. Well, you wake up Monday morning, and all of a sudden you're not feeling so well. And guess what? That's your mind's way of helping you achieve that goal, in its own unique and wonderful way. So the mind really is, it's really a powerful tool. And there are things in it that. Hi, Michael. This is. I'll get back to you on a PM, on a private message later, and we can discuss that. Today I'm talking about mindset, and I've got, for the first time, I've actually written notes because this is really important to me. So what I was saying, your mind recognizes or doesn't recognize negative words. Okay, so my favorite example, and one that a friend of mine gave me, was don't think of a pink elephant. Okay, what's the first thing that happens? You start thinking of a pink elephant. Okay, so it doesn't really compute. Don't do that. So when you go to a restaurant and you're ordering food, a lot of times you say, now I don't want it this way, and don't do this, and don't do that, and you know what? The waiter, sometimes the way their mind processes is they don't hear that don't. So when you're talking to people, it's best if you tell them what you do want versus what you don't want. So that's kind of the little tricks that your mind does on you. So how it influences your actions. So getting to a quote here today. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. Okay, I don't know how many times I've heard that quote in the past, seen it, but it is absolutely true. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to go, okay, I'm going to dream that I want $1 million. Okay, well, you have to do the work to get it. Okay, it's not just going to happen. You've got to, put some effort into it. All right, so mindset. So my first question today is do you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? Okay, and people talk about entrepreneur mindset, and it's absolutely true. And Matt Lloyd wrote a book. It's absolutely free. I have it printed out here because it's an ebook. Okay, 10 questions you absolutely must ask before choosing a home-based business. In other words, the 10 questions that you must ask yourself if you want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, it's that simple. So the very first question, and I'm not going to go through all of these questions because I really want you to get this book. It's free. Okay. If you're interested after this, I'll put the link in it, or you can shoot a yes, and I'll send you the link to download it. But I'm just going to talk about a couple things that are in it, and we'll go on from there because I've got a lot of stuff that I want to cover with you today, and a lot of it, if I hadn't written it down, then if if I took the time to actually write it down for you, then it's pretty important to me. Okay, I'll just put it that way, because one of the things that this helps is it helps me clarify, my thoughts and my positions. And when you write it down, there's that, extra little effort that your brain goes through to write it down. So, and if you're going to write it down and if you're going to teach it, then, you should certainly have some clarity of thought. So that's why I say this is pretty important to me. So the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to home-based businesses, and everything that this series of videos is going to be covered is based off the principle that you are interested in becoming an entrepreneur and having your own home-based business. Okay, so from that perspective, it is where I'm coming from on this. But keep in mind, that's my approach, but everything that I talk about does not have to deal directly with being an entrepreneur. This is stuff that you can apply in everyday life situations. Okay, so I'm trying to help you decide if you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur and have your own online business. Okay, that's the bottom line here. So in the book, here's a couple of statistics for you that Matt starts out with. Okay, home-based businesses generate $427 billion per year, and yes, that is billion. Okay, $500 billion. Can you believe that? That's how much home-based businesses generate. Okay, people who have their own home-based businesses generate an average of $65,000 per year. Okay, which is above the poverty level, so they're pretty successful. Okay, and there's an estimated 18.3 million home-based enterprises. Okay, those are just some of the rough numbers that he did the research on and found. But wow, $427 billion per year. That one really sticks out with me. Okay, so the emotional component of having your own home-based business. Okay, there was surveys done about this, and according to one of those surveys, 98% of the respondents are happier working from home. Imagine that, happier working from home. 96% recommend working from home, and 88% would never return to the corporate world. Now, that doesn't surprise me, because, like I said, I'm doing my own home-based business. I'm here, and every day, you know what? I get to set my own schedule. I don't have a boss that I'm accountable to. I'm accountable to myself, and if I don't put in the effort that day, guess what? I'm not going to make any money. It's just that simple. So, but I tell you what, being able to be my own boss, to set my own hours, to do a lot of things that I want to do, that is priceless. Absolutely priceless. So think about that, and then think about the fact that starting your own home-based business costs about $5,000. $5,000 versus if you're talking about a brick and mortar business or a franchise like McDonald's or whatnot, you're talking hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to start that. Okay, home-based business, all you need is a computer and an internet connection. That's it. So, something to think about. So, here's the number one question that Matt starts out with, and I think it's pretty important. Okay, why do you want to start an online home-based business? Okay, why? Because somebody said it was cool. Because you're sick and tired of your boss and you want to do something else. You've got to have that's the first question you should be asking yourself. Okay, I know what I don't want to do, and I can tell you from personal history, I spent 23 years in the Army. You're going to hear that story a lot. 23 years in the Army. And I will tell you, when I made that decision to, drop the paperwork and start the retirement process, I had a lot of things where I knew what I didn't want to do. And I'll be honest, I didn't want to do the 9 to 5 thing. I didn't want to take on another career. I didn't want to have to deal with other people, okay, especially supervisors who really didn't understand me and who I didn't understand no matter how much I tried to talk to them, okay, or having, the other employees in that organization, and you've seen them before, the ones who are always complaining about this, that, or the other, or the lazy ones who hardly ever do any work, or the ones who are hardly ever there, and so you end up doing their job too. I didn't want to do it, okay? Was that my why? Well, kind of, but you know what? It wasn't really strong enough to really decide to go for the home-based business deal. So, I did research on the internet, and guess what? I found out that you had to have a pretty big reason why. So here's mine, okay? I am military. And over the last decade, guess what? We've been involved in armed conflict overseas, 2 different locations. Iraq, not so much anymore, but we still have people there. Afghanistan, yes, definitely. Is terrorism ever going to go away? No. So the obvious repercussions from that is you have a lot of soldiers, service members, who are coming home who have been paralyzed, lost a limb, whatever. And so a few years ago, the Wounded Warrior Project was started to provide additional assistance to those soldiers. And guess what? I've even got a video of it on this group page. Okay, I've got a video of my why. There's a new wheelchair out that actually stands people up. And let me tell you something, if you don't think that standing up is important, okay, think about the fact that these guys are patriots, and one of the things that they do is they stand up for the national anthem. And now they're in a wheelchair, and they can't even do that. So finding a wheelchair that literally will help you stand up gives you more freedom, individual freedom, so you can stand up and get that stuff that's in the cabinets above the countertop, above the stove. You can stand up for the national anthem. You can stand up and you can cook, which means, guess what? You don't have to have homes specially designed for you. Okay? Standing up actually is healthy, even for people who are maybe paralyzed from the waist down. Standing up is so vitally important. Okay? And to give them that sense of freedom, even more independence, I can't imagine how that must feel. I cannot honestly imagine how it must feel to be stuck in a wheelchair sitting down. I really can't. So that was my biggest reason why. And you know what? After that, my otherwise, okay, making sure that I can take care of my parents. Okay, they're in their 70s, and I know we're on the downside of the amount of time that I have left with them. Okay, so being able to help them out, being able to spend more time with them. My grandma is turning 95 years old in June, and to know that I don't have to talk to anybody else before I take that trip up to celebrate her birthday with her. That kind of stuff is so important to me. Family, friends, being able to have the time to go to be with friends, to go visit friends that I haven't seen in years, to go see relatives out in California, to do all of this stuff without having to ask permission first. Okay. Do I want to make a lot of money? Yes. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's really absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to make a lot of money. Okay. Dream house, dream car. Yeah. I mean, but you know what? My priority is, other people, helping other people. And it just is. So that's my why. So, and one of the things that we also talk about to go along with your why is having a vision board. And I'm going to talk more about that later, but I think you kind of get the idea of what it is. Okay, just in general mentioning, but that's going to be my discussion for this next in the series. Okay, so again, 10 questions. Guess what? There are 9 more. I'm not covering them today. If you want the book, just let me know. I'll get you the link. It's an ebook. You don't even have to get it delivered over the mail. Okay, so again, your why. Okay, your why is going to be the biggest source of motivation for you if you decide to create a home-based business. Okay, so make it big, make it huge. Okay, whatever you think of now, take it times 10. All right, that's how important and how big your why needs to be. So, because now, here is what you're going to have to overcome and what your mind is going to have to overcome when I talk about mindset. Okay, the first thing, all right, your friends and family. Amazingly enough, as some people, have amazing families and friends who say, okay, hey, if that's what you want to do, I'm there for you. I'll support you. Okay, I wish you the best of luck and go for it. But you know what? A lot of people have the friends and family that are, why are you going to do that? You're just going to fail. You don't need to be doing that. You don't have the money. You don't have the money. You can't do this, whatever. And they're really going to put, that pressure on you to stick with, well, just go get a regular job like everybody else. But you know what? If it's something that you truly, truly want, then that's something that you're going to have to overcome. And again, that's your mindset. That's mindset talking. Okay, so that's one thing that you have to overcome. Okay, self-doubt. Okay, you get going in this, and trust me, it happens to everybody. It happened to me. Okay, so when I first signed up for this, that was back in 2016, and you go through this training and you're all like, oh yeah, excited, I want to do this. And then you get through the training and then it's like, oh, what do I do? And then you're like, can I do this? Well, let's just, okay, we'll try. Okay, and okay, well, this isn't really working like they said it would. So, did they lie to me? Am I doing something wrong? And so you have that, you have self-doubt that creeps in. And sometimes it's real slow and subtle, and other times it's like, bam, I can't do this. Well, guess what? That leads into my other point, and that's those words. Those words that like can't, try, cheap, shouldn't, maybe. Okay, when you start thinking these words, okay, well, here's this opportunity over here, and maybe I'll just dip my toe in and try it out and see how it goes, maybe give it a month. Okay, guess what? As soon as you use that word try, guess what? That's giving yourself the excuse to fail. Okay? It's just you're giving your brain permission to accept something less. Okay? try, can't, I can't do this. You know what? Wow, my mom, I was an average athlete at best growing up, okay? I had a little bit of coordination. I was, had some good agility, but nothing that was, nothing to write home about or think that I was going to have a career as a professional athlete in anything, okay? And, oh, I remember going home. Mom went, I can't do this. I can't. And Mom says, have you tried? So now you've got two words there. But here's the thing, okay? If you go in with the belief that you can't do something, guess what? You're not going to do it, okay? You're not. So you've got to get yourself, it's a mind game, okay? And being very, very careful of the words that you use. And so we talk about mindset. And the final one is, okay, fear of failure, okay? A lot of times when I said I can't do this, it was because I didn't want to fail. And the biggest part of that is I didn't want to fail and embarrass myself in front of my friends. That's it. I didn't want to fail in front of my friends because it would be embarrassing. So now you've got all of those wonderful words that we don't want to use because we're talking about mindset again. So you've got to start looking at the words that you use. But now you've got to start at the underlying bottom line of everything when it comes to mindset is that fear of failure. Okay, fear of failure. So picture a baby, okay, young baby, and it's at that point, cute little thing, stands up, tries to take that first step into beginning its journey. Well, I wouldn't say walking, but maybe running around the room, because babies seem to go from crawling to running before they go to walk. But anyway, gets up, takes that first little step, and kind of wobbles a little bit and falls on its butt. Okay, now think about, what does that baby do next? Okay, it's like most babies, it laughs a little bit and gets up and tries to walk again. Well, imagine, imagine if that baby had, just sat there and cried. Decided, this walking thing isn't for me. I'm just going to crawl for the rest of my life. Okay, that's not what the baby does. The baby gets up and keeps trying. Okay, and the baby is the eternal optimist. You can learn a lot from that baby. It's the eternal optimist. It keeps trying, okay? It keeps trying to fit all 5 toes of its foot in its mouth, okay? I mean, they do. Or all 5 fingers. Or, they try to gnaw on the dog's ear until the dog gets up and walks away, The baby is just the eternal optimist that keeps trying, keeps going. Even if he fails 1,000 times, it keeps going, and it's happy, and it giggles, and they're just so much fun to watch. So, cat's on a rampage. Okay, so are you going to do less than that baby? Are you really going to do less than that baby? Okay, the one that falls on its butt, 5,000 times and still gets up. Okay, let's talk about Charles Goodyear and vulcanized rubber. He spent years trying to figure out the recipe to vulcanize rubber. Imagine if he'd quit after the first time. We wouldn't have tires for our cars. Imagine if he had quit. Thomas Edison and the light bulb. Okay, failed to make the light bulb 1,000 times. And guess what? people ask, well, didn't you get tired of all that failure? And you know what his response was? Nope, I just learned 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Okay, I learned 1,000 ways to how not to make a light bulb. So here's the thing. Here's the truth of the matter is there is no failure. There is absolutely no failure. There are only results. So if you do something and the results aren't quite what you wanted, guess what? You go again. Okay? You go again. And you fail until you succeed. That's mindset. Okay? If you think of failure not as failure, but okay, I tried this, it didn't work, so now we know not to do that. You know, how many times have you learned that lesson? I mean, you know, high school science classes. Okay, we tried this experiment and it didn't work. Try a different way. So that's, you know, that's mindset. So there's a book that I highly recommend. Okay, and it's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mindset, and it's by T. Harv Eker. And I will put that in the comments as well. This guy's pretty amazing. Okay, I'll tell you that this book just flat out, you know, amazes me. So what he talks about is, you know, there's two different types of mindsets, and what I'm going to talk about here are the extreme examples. Okay, so here's why I'm making a disclaimer. I'm not taking any personal shots. Okay, these are extreme examples, but sometimes you need those extreme examples to really understand what it is that the point that's trying to be made. So two different types of mindsets. Okay, you have the poor middle class mindset, and it has nothing to do with money. It does, but it doesn't, if that makes sense. Okay, and then you have the financially independent or rich, okay, mindsets. And I'm only going to discuss, you know, one aspect of this because I really want you to read the book too. And, you know, it's an amazing book. And you should read it, okay? Even if you don't want to have your own home-based business, you should read it. There's a lot of books that you should read, and it's because of personal development, which I will talk about another day as well. But here's the thing, okay? So getting back to the book, okay, Millionaire Mindset. One of the things that he discusses when he talks about the poor middle class mindset versus the financially independent rich mindset is playing the role of the victim, okay? Yeah, playing the role of the victim and taking responsibility, okay? And when you talk about someone who's playing the victim, it's easy to figure out, okay? You don't have to have a degree in psychology, which I don't, okay? I don't, but, you know, after a while, you learn how to figure people out. But here's the thing, there's three definite, obvious clues when someone is playing the role of a victim. And you know what? The reason why they're playing the role of a victim is because they want attention. Okay, it's that easy. Woe is me. Look at me. You know, blah blah blah. So blame. It's not my fault I'm in this situation. It's the government. It's, you know, my parents, my spouse, my boss. It's everybody else's fault but theirs. They're the innocent, you know, just bystander in this whole thing. It's obviously somebody else's fault. Okay? Blame. Okay? No matter what the circumstances. All right, now here's my favorite one, number 2. And this one just cracked me up because, again, T. Harv Eker, Justifying or rationalization. Oh, money is really not that important. Yes, it is. The only way it's not important is if you're rich. Okay? The only time that you're going to say money isn't important is if you don't have any. And guess what? I think banks are going to say it's pretty freaking important. Okay? Loan agencies, hey, that auto loan, it's kind of important that you have money to pay for that, or the roof over your head, or the food in your cupboard. Yeah, money is important. Okay? And the only reason why you would ever say it wasn't important is if you don't have any. It's a justification. And finally, number 3, complaining. Oh my gosh. How many times, okay, how many times have you heard, oh, well, I'm, traffic was horrible, and my boss was horrible, and, I'm in a wheelchair, and you can't really expect me to be able to do anything, and, my dog ate my homework, and my parents were mean to me. They made me eat my vegetables. Okay, just flat out complaining about everything. Okay, do you really want to hang out with people like that? The people who are like that? Let me tell you something. All 3 of those clues, okay, blame, justification, complaining, guess what? Those are excuses. Flat out, they are excuses. Okay? They are excuses to justify not trying, to not do the things that you know you need to do to succeed. Flat out. It's an excuse. Stop making excuses. I mean, it's that simple. Okay? Hey, you know what? We all have bad days, and I'll be the first one to tell you I've had bad days too. And you know what? Sometimes you vent and you get it out of your system and you move on. Okay? But the people with the victim type who play the victim role, they don't move on. They stay there. And so if they stay there, why would you want to deal with them? Okay? So think about it. What are you thinking about when you complain? You're thinking about all the negative things. And when you do that, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay? You get all this negative stuff in your head, and pretty soon you start to make that your own reality. Well, I can't do this because of that, and they turned off the electricity on me, so now I can't cook my dinner, and whatever. Okay? This is excuses and refusal to take responsibility for your actions. It's harsh, but it's true, and it's the truth. So Henry Ford, okay, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So what do you want to do? How do you want to think? And guess what? It's hard. It's really hard because, sometimes you get into these thought processes, you get your brain trained to certain ways, procrastination, you get your brain trained for certain ways, and it's a pattern and it's a habit. And so it takes a lot of time and energy to recognize those patterns of thought and try to change them. Okay, that's your mindset. That's what we're talking about. So, another thing that he said, there is no such thing as a really rich victim. Okay, think about it. How can you be a victim if you've done everything that you need to do to be a success? Now, I'm not talking about happiness. That's a different story, okay? But you can't really claim to be a victim if you're succeeding. It's, I'm sure there are some people who might try, but you really can't. It's really difficult. So I guess my question is, for those of you who are watching this, are you wondering, oh wow, I've been doing that. So I guess my question is, are you still determined to be a victim? Or do you want to do something about it? Do you want to change your mindset? And do you want to succeed? It doesn't even have to be in a home-based business. My question is do you want to succeed at whatever you want to do? Now, I can't, pro athletes, you got to have some sort of physical talent to back that up. But even pro athletes practice and train and practice and practice and practice thousands and thousands of hours. Okay, you're talking about the same thing. If they didn't have the mindset to do that, then they wouldn't last very long. Just a fact of life, they wouldn't really last very long. So I've got one challenge here, okay, and I'm going to throw this out. Don't complain about anything for a week. Really, really think about what you're doing. Don't complain about anything for a week. Okay, and just see what changes when you just stop complaining for a week. See what changes happen. Okay, and finally, I've got one more hard truth for you, and then I'm going to start wrapping this up. Okay, events have no effect on us. Only our responses have that effect. And what I'm talking about here is how you respond mentally to your environment. Okay, so going back to my point of the Wounded Warrior program, these soldiers, these service members who come home, or anybody who has a life-altering experience like losing a limb or ending up in a wheelchair or a traumatic brain injury, there's two responses, okay? There's two responses. And it all starts up here. Okay, one response, I'm paralyzed. I don't have this anymore. I can't. And focusing on all the negative things of I can't do this anymore and all the things that they can no longer do, okay? And letting that stop them from moving forward. And then you have the other one says, well, I may not have my legs anymore. I may be paralyzed from the waist down, but I can still do this. And I can figure out how to do this. And I can learn how to do this. And I can still be a productive member of society. Or not even a productive member. I can still be a happy person. These are the things that I can still do. So, again, mindset. All right. How are you going to choose to respond to good things and bad things that happen? How are you going to choose to respond? So, I've been talking here for about 39 minutes now. I'm hoping that you get something out of this. I really, really am. And, I don't need the thumbs up or the happy smiley faces or anything like that. I just need you to watch this. Okay? I just need you to watch this. And if it resonates with you just a little bit, then my job is done. Okay? I've succeeded. And this was just kind of giving you a baseline on how important mindset is. In future, down the road in this series of videos, I will actually start discussing, tips, techniques that you can use to, reprogram your own brain, for lack of better terminology. Okay, I mean, the first thing is you have to be aware that there's an issue. I mean, it's like addiction. You have to admit that you have a problem. All right. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with your mindset. You have to admit, okay, maybe I am playing the role of victim a little bit. So now that I'm aware of it, how do I fix this? Okay, so I'm going to be talking about that in later episodes of this series. Right now, though, next week, I'm going to be talking about the vision board. Okay, because again, why is so very, very critical. But the other thing is you can't just keep it all in your head. So sometimes you need a visual reminder. And so that's what we're going to be talking about next week. And I hope you tune in. I hope you enjoyed this. I really do, because it really helped me clarify. It really helped me clarify my thoughts on this matter as well. So have a great week. Yes, tomorrow's Monday, but you know what? Every day is just another day. It doesn't matter what you call it. So I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.